Okay, in the last session, we had started looking at characteristics of contemporary globalization process, and we stopped at part of the characteristics, and we talked about growing social networks, expansion of social relations, activities, and interdependence, because as we say, with the globalization, the world is becoming increasingly intertwined and interdependent. There was also intensification and acceleration of social exchanges, because parts of the world are becoming almost one. And we looked at the issues of culture. There is also more or less homogenization of culture. And so there's a lot of interaction in the world. And so there are these things which cannot be stopped. And yeah, furthermore, we still look at characteristics of globalization. One of them was also the elimination of politically imposed barriers with the liberalization and deregulation of the markets. And here with this, we see even the presence of monetary liberalization in the sense that we see the presence of the forex bureaus, which was not a concept of probably before 1980s. I remember when you used to go to exchange money, you have to go to the bank. We didn't have these forex bureaus at that time. So we're seeing liberalization of the markets, including even of the foreign markets. There's also rapid increase in capital and private investment flows, which has raised the resources available to countries, able to attract them and accelerated pace of their development beyond what could have been otherwise they could have achieved. So with this, we see even foreign direct investments. But business people from different countries are going to, investing in other countries, okay? Different companies, multinational companies that are operating across the world are investing, or they are sending their capital to different countries to invest there. We are seeing also another characteristics, greater openness and participation in competitive international trade, which have increased employment primarily of the skilled labor in tradable goods sectors. But also with this, there is also, when we talk about international trade, and then also the labor, the skilled labor is also selling itself elsewhere. We see capital flight, maybe the doctors moving from one country to another to go and work in maybe where there is better pay and so on. There is also, because when you talk about globalization, it's not about movement of goods, but it's also movement of people. So even movement of workers from one section to another, as we had seen in the other lecture about labor, or we shall see about labor migration, okay? And the positive and negative impact of that. Okay, globalization, also there's what we refer to as globalization of human consciousness. People becoming conscious of global interdependence. People becoming aware of what is happening elsewhere. So information flows is from one country to another, from one region to another, and you cannot stop people from being conscious of what is happening elsewhere. There is also a relatively small yet diverse group of few players who have been the planners and instigators behind globalization. It is exemplified by the enhancement of the role of economic institutions, multilateral institutions, and the multinational companies. When you talk about the multilateral institutions such as World Bank, IMF, World Trade Center, these are the key players in the globe. In as far as, for example, when it comes to trade, foreign trade, or let me say international trade, how are the African countries, for example, or developing world faring in as far as foreign trade is concerned? They are not having a voice, they are not having a say when it comes to price determination. Price is determined by the big countries, the advanced countries, who, of course, when you look at the world trade, is it speaking for the third world countries? Definitely yes, definitely no. But it is speaking for the other big people, big countries, the advanced economies. And so there is also privatization of assets and retreat of state functions. This is also one of the characteristics of globalization. Globalization, you know, is ruled, or let me say, it's one of the characteristics of globalization is that it is, you know, governed by the global capitalist economy. And so for that matter, it is having the characteristic of aspects of capitalism. So there is privatization of assets and retreat of state function. What I mean here is that the states and the governments, definitely, sometimes we use the word state and government interchangeably, but as you saw in class the other time, it's not the same. But sometimes when we use them interchangeably, you have to understand. So governments are pulling back. They leave the private individuals to do things as their best. For the government is providing just a conducive environment for the private sector to operate. So as we had seen in the kind of a free market economy, or we can say, free market economy, the state is kind of pulling back and leaving the private sector to do its best. So privatization, liberalization are characteristics of that kind of economy. And most economies who were even socialists are moving away from socialism towards market. And that's why we're talking about mixed economies, or we are talking about countries that have elements of both capitalism and socialism. So there is also the presence of multinational cooperation and transnational corporations or companies that are operating all over the globe. They have networks all over the globe. So you have a number of them that are having businesses everywhere. This is a characteristic of globalization because there is a lot of internationalization, movements of goods from one place to another, establishing of networks, of markets, and so on. You remember when we discussed about Marxism, and we talk about Karl Marx, how he talked about the imperial character, having the nests everywhere across the globe, and that is the character which he had not lived to see what is happening right now, but this is what he was trying to say. There is also the integration of markets on a worldwide scale that could eventually mean worldwide standards or practices, including the quality, the pricing, and so on and so forth. We see the McDonald's, the KFC, you know, you have this product that are sold everywhere and they have similar quality. Yeah. When we talk about Coca-Cola, it is Coca-Cola in Kenya. It has the same taste because the material that they used are the same. So the price, the quality of the services should be the same. Now, I wanted us to look at the dimensions, globalization dimensions, or what we refer to as aspects, because it has different, it has multifaceted kind of, you know, aspects. Globalization is dimensional phenomenon with numerous aspects of life. So there is intensification of economic, political, social, and cultural relations across the borders. One of the first characteristic of, or let me, no, I shouldn't call them characteristics because we're done with that. One of the key aspects or dimension of globalization is that of technological evolution. A number of authors have, they take a technological factor as the main cause of modern globalization, since the latest technological achievements have also enabled fast and undisturbed migration of people and the flow of capital, flow of goods, flow of information, yeah, having simultaneously induced the need for that. So the technological changes include the latest accomplishment in technological revolution, for example, telecommunication systems, the scientific revolution, the new forms of transport, the internet, you know, and the similar things, because all these technological factors have really facilitated and hindered communication of knowledge. People and information and capital, have been flowing without being disturbed. So because of technology, it was possible for people to communicate easily. And it is possible now, because now if I send an email right now, it reaches the person on the other side of the world, like maybe in the US or in the UK, immediately. When I send information from my desk, it reaches there immediately, something which was not there before. Of course, I know it kept changing. We used to have fax, and now we have internet. Okay, using email solely. We have the email. But before that, before fax, there was maybe telegram or something like that. Like, information started going faster, and it is moving faster and faster. I don't know what comes after email, but of course now we have the WhatsApp, we have the Twitter, and all these social networks are enabling people to exchange information very quickly. But we have also the economic dimension, okay? Globalization is often used to refer to economic globalization because of the rapid increase in the capital and the private investment flows, which enable the integration of national economies in the international economy through trade, direct foreign investment, FDIs, capital flows. So in other words, there's establishment of global common market based on freedom of exchange of goods and services with financial liberalization. So it makes it very easy for communication, especially through internet, people to connect to markets. You can buy your car from Japan or from Germany by going to the website and sending money through PayPal or whatever it is, whichever method of sending money. So even financial, that's why we're talking about financial liberalization. There is the development of worldwide financial markets and access to external financing for borrowers, such as countries can get the external funding from IMF, for example. There is also industrial globalization with the development of worldwide production markets and broader access to a range of foreign products. So getting foreign products is not that difficult because it is possible because of the knowledge and technologies that are there. Some of these factors are actually intertwined. Okay, so this aspect also includes foreign aid ideology. There is also socio-cultural dimension. We see the internet has led to, diffusion of culture, the use of mass media, the music that is played in the US, it is played here, for example. The popular movies that are there, the fashions and so on, the way people put on is the same way almost. Yeah, it is as if there is what we call homogenization of culture. So what we are seeing that the heterogeneous cultures now become incorporated and integrated into the dominant culture, which eventually covers the whole world. So that is the aspect of social cultural. There is also the political dimension. We have seen African countries adopting democracies, what we refer to as Western democracies. From 1990s, there's democratization processes, the presence of multi-party politics, which were not there. Some countries, such as, for example, in Tanzania, we had the CCM party, but now we have, Chadema and the, CAF and some other parties. In Uganda, we have also, apart from NRM, we have, FDC, DP, and others. So what am I trying to say here is that there is a push for representative democracy. And when we have elections, you see the foreign observers, they come here and they oversee over the election and so on. They want these countries to observe human rights. That's why they make a lot of noise when they see people being arrested, people being tortured and so on. And of course, they can sometimes maybe threaten even to put sanction on us so that part of our budget is not funded by them. The EU can put restrictions over our budgets and so on because of what is happening from the political point of view. Because Uganda, of course, is a signatory to human rights conventions and some other conventions internationally. Anyway, so there is also the influence of international policies and commitments of nation states governance. This is what I'm talking about. Most of the countries, or let me say all the countries in Africa are signatories